Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Launch Control. There is an incredibly exciting project called the Artemis Project, and we want you to be part of this. Artemis Rocket Build is a Minecraft series designed as a fun and creative introduction to the Artemis program. That is the robotic and human exploration program led by the United Nations National Aeronautics and Space Administration, otherwise known as NASA. Also with other partner agencies to return astronauts to the lunar surface. Throughout this virtual classroom series, we're going to share with you some special in-game instructions to learn information about the Artemis program, the different components of a rocket, and what exactly is needed in order to build and launch a rocket safely. You will have the opportunity to practice your new knowledge and skills with special missions. My name's Sarah Snowden and I'm the Minecraft Learning Centre Programme Manager in Wales. I'm also a Minecraft trainer and I'm also a global mentor for Minecraft as well. Now, I want to start today by explaining how this virtual session is going to work. We've got a mixture of where we're going to provide information to you using slides like I've just been doing with you now. So they're going to be at the front of the classroom. We will ask you learners some questions. Now, teachers, this is where you need to be ready because obviously we can't see your learners. So when they ask their questions, we need you to be able to type them into the Q&A panel so we can see them and then we can answer them. And obviously we're going to have lots of fun because we're going to be diving into a Minecraft world where we're going to be exploring and creating as well. I'm really pleased that today I've got a friend with me today who's going to help me run this session, and I'm going to let her introduce herself.
Hi, thanks Sarah. My name is Manon Watkins and I'm a classroom teacher. I'm also a Minecraft trainer in one of the Minecraft learning centres here in Wales, and I'm also a Minecraft global mentor. So let's start by considering what we're going to learn today.
That's a really good idea.
Okay, so we're going to learn about the Artemis programme and also its impact on past, present and future space exploration missions. We're also going to explore various rocket parts. We're going to learn about scientific phenomena and laws that impact rockets' ability to fly. We're going to build and test different types of rockets, and we're also going to redesign and paint our own rockets to build them and test them in the simulator.
Wow, that all sounds really exciting. However, I think we should start by giving a little bit of a context, a little bit of background to all of this.
I think that would be a really good idea, Sarah.
Okay, so if you think about it, humans are explorers. Since before the dawn of civilizations, we've been lured over the horizon to find food, more space to live, make a profit, just see what's beyond those trees or even over the ocean. And our ability to explore has reached new heights, literally, in the last 100 years. Aeroplanes have shortened that kind of distance to fly to other countries. It simplifies travel. It showed us the Earth from a completely new perspective as well. And by the middle of the last century, we aimed even higher. That obviously was space. And in 1957, I know that's quite a long time ago, but in 1957, Russia sent the first artificial satellite, Sputnik, into space. A few years later, in 1961, this saw a cosmonaut, that's the Russian word for astronaut, Yuri Gagarin, was the first human to visit space. Now, that was very closely followed in May 1961 by Alan Shepard. He was the first of the astronauts from the United States to visit space. And this was the start of the physical exploration of humans going into space.
So did you know that in 1962, the United States journey to the moon started? 2 American astronauts, Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin, became the first humans to walk on the moon. Neil and Buzz were able to film that moment, and it was broadcast to people on Earth. And Neil Armstrong famously said, "That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind." And the United States have sent over 20 more astronauts to the moon as part of the Apollo missions.
Yes, and after reaching the moon, work began on building a reusable kind of space vehicles. And this was so that humans could actually go into space time and time again, over and over again, using the same spacecraft. Then came the building of habitat in space. This is an image of the International Space Station. It's got rooms in there where humans can work, they can sleep, they can eat. Now, once this International Space Station was built, astronauts started living and working on it. Since that time, over 240 astronauts from 17 countries have lived and worked together on this International Space Station over the last 20 years. Now, during that time, astronauts have conducted lots of different kinds of experiments, like how to grow food, how to keep humans healthy in space, how to repair spacecraft in space, and this has all led to the Artemis missions. Now, Artemis 1 was launched in November 2022. Now, that's not that long ago. It's only a few months ago.
Why are we going back to the moon then?
Well, that's a really, really interesting question, Manon. And I know we're going back to the moon for kind of scientific discovery, which is going to have economic benefits. However, I think it will really help our understanding, our learners' understanding, if we actually got somebody from NASA to perhaps explain this a little bit more to us. And I'm really, really excited that we have a very, very special guest today for this virtual classroom session. And I would like to introduce you to Carol. Now, let me get this right. Carol is the Lunar Surface Innovative Integration Lead at NASA. Wow, that is some title, Carol.
Yeah, yes, it is. Hello, Sarah, Manon, and all the learners out there. I am very happy to be here today and talk to you a little bit about why we're going back to the moon. And I think Sarah really hit on one of the biggest things is as a human beings, we are just naturally explorers. We want to know what's out there. But we also are going back there to do some more lunar science. There have only been 12 men actually on the moon, and they only stayed there a total of 80 hours actually walking on the surface. So if you really think about it, we know so very little about the moon. And what we want to do is we want to take that next stepping stone past the space station where we've lived 24/7 in space to actually go to another terrestrial body like the moon and actually learn how we could live there. So what we want to go is we want to go and we want to stay this time, and we want to have astronauts go there and learn how to build structures and have power and explore and actually see what the resources are on the moon are and create a new lunar economy.
Wow, that sounds really, really exciting. Well, I hope that starts to help answer Manon's question, which was, why we're going back to the moon. Learners, if you've got any particular questions you want to ask Carol, can you please tell your teachers? And teachers, can you get them into the Q&A panel now? And while we're just waiting for some questions to come in there, Carol, can you tell me, it's a very, very interesting job title you've got. What does that actually mean? What do you actually do at NASA?
So I think I have one of the best jobs at NASA because I work with engineers and scientists all across our organization, and we are developing new technologies to explore the surface of the moon. So we are developing rovers they're almost the size of little hoverboards that you guys use. We are developing how we're going to get power on the surface of the moon. We found out that if we go to the South Pole and we can raise a solar cell 10 meters off the South Pole, we can have continuous power for astronauts on the surface of the moon. We're learning how to build excavators to dig on the surface of the moon, and we're also learning and working to develop technologies where we could take the lunar dirt, which is called regolith, and put it through a plant and actually make either bricks or even possibly even metal wires on the surface of the moon without having to take any of those supplies for. So we're trying to figure out how we can have a sustained presence on the moon with using as much of the moon's resources as possible.
Well, that does sound really interesting. Yeah, so no wonder you've got such a long job title. We've got a few questions coming in now, actually, Carol. So our first question is, why is it actually called the Artemis program?
Well, so we had the Apollo program, and now Artemis is the daughter of Apollo. So on this mission, we are actually planning on sending the actual first female to step foot on the surface of the moon. So what's more appropriate than picking a female male goddess name in order to call the program Artemis?
Good answer. I like it. I like it. Okay, we've got another question here. So you've talked about the astronauts have not actually been that long on the moon. That how long can an astronaut actually stay on the moon for?
Well, and that's what we're working at right now. So if we are able to get continuous power and we could use the moon's dirt and regolith to build buildings similar to kind of like sod buildings that they've done in Scotland a long time ago, then we could actually stay on the moon for almost up to 6 months straight. The plan now is only to go 2 weeks at a time in different groups and go to our gateway first to the moon and back and forth. But eventually what NASA would like to do is be able to use this as a stepping stone to move on to Mars, and then let commercial companies be able to go and even possibly have tourism on the moon, where they may even build space hotels sometime in the future. So eventually it would be great if you could be able to go to the moon for 365 days a year on trips.
You won't get a suntan though, will you?
No, well, it does get up to 120 degrees Celsius at noon on the moon.
Wow.
So it gets pretty toasty.
So another question, which I hope this is going to be yes, they can, is can astronauts eat on the moon? So if they're going to stay for that long, can they eat?
Yes, they can eat. The one thing we don't know right now is, can we grow things on the moon? So that's one of the other things. Once we actually establish it and have astronauts go on the moon, we'll have to see what we can do in order to harvest types of fruits and vegetables. And we're doing that right now on the International Space Station. We actually had a nice harvest of lettuce. I think it was last year or the year before that the astronauts ate.
Okay, I'm just going to look down at some other questions we've got. All right, so one learner is asking, will lunar dust be a problem for any of the robotic systems used on the moon?
That is a great question. Lunar dust is one of the biggest problems that we have, not only for just astronauts, but even if we're developing machines. If you think about lunar dust, if you guys have ever used powdered talc or in your bathrooms, and you see how fine and grain that is, and if you get it on your clothes, you just can't get it off. You sit and you rub and you rub and you rub, and it's always there. And that's exactly similar to what lunar dust is. And it almost even has a little bit of a static charge to it, so it sticks. So we're actually developing a lot of technologies to try to keep that dust off of you. We actually have realized that you can almost use electricity. It's called an electromagnetic dust shield. It's one of our first experiments we're going to send to the surface of the moon to see if you electrify a surface, if it'll make the dust scatter. One of the biggest complaints that Jack Schmitt had, and a lot of the Apollo astronauts, if you listen to some of their oldest recordings, is when they would come back into the capsule, there was just dust all over them and they just couldn't get rid of it.
So I shouldn't complain about dust in my living room then. They obviously get a lot more. Okay, another question we've had, can electricity be generated on the moon?
Yes, as a matter of fact, we can use the same types of things we use on Earth to generate electricity. If any of you have seen solar farms or big solar panels, if we have a solar panel and we raise it 10 meters above the surface of the moon on the South Pole, we would have continuous power on the moon using solar power. The other thing we have the ability to do is called fission surface power. And that's where you could actually get power in the dark, and it's using some nuclear capabilities. So our first step on the moon is actually to do the solar power so that we could actually have almost full power throughout the day and night on the moon, and then move forward for a more steady stream of power continuously.
There's obviously a lot of different kind of jobs to be done there on the moon, and I've just got a few more questions on there. Oh, here we've got one. Will hydroponics help us in space?
It might. So some of you might have heard recently that one of the biggest things as we're going back to the moon is we're trying to see if there's water there. So one of the things you need to survive is water, and we've heard that there may be some water on the surface of the moon, kind of like, it's not like a dew, but just a very little residual water. We're actually sending a mission to the moon this fall. It's called Prime 1, and it's going to be the first mission where we're actually going to drill into the surface of the moon and actually see what the water content is. And if we can get water content and we can heat it out of the soil, we actually would be able to have water to possibly do hydroponics, but also for astronauts to use for drinking, or even to use it for developing of fuel in order to get back to the Earth.
Fantastic. Very, very interesting. Another question we've got is, how long does it actually take to get to the moon?
It takes about 3 days for us to get to the moon. So if you think about it, we started exploring on the International Space Station, where it really just takes you a day to get to the space station, and you can come back in relatively a couple hours once you leave the space station. So then our next step in exploring is we go to the moon, where it takes us about 3 days to go there. So we're a little bit farther away. And then after that, we look at going to Mars, where that's a 6-month journey. So that, as we're going exploring, we're going on a stepping stone type process and going a little bit farther each time.
Okay, right. And I've got this must be a boy, I reckon, that's asked this question. Okay. How do they go to the toilet?
That is actually the most asked question we always get. So they actually have they have very expensive toilets, and they're connected to vacuums. So as you're going to the back room, there is a vacuum that sucks down through the toilet. So everything gets sucked into a hose and into a baggie system to go to the bathroom, so that nothing, because you don't want anything to float.
No, no, you definitely want that floating around. No, okay. So another question is, what happens if a rocket breaks down in space?
That's a really good question. That's one of the reasons why we have systems that we call them redundant systems and safeguards. So right now, if you look at the International Space Station, on the International Space Station at all times, we actually have 2 vehicles there that can bring astronauts back if something would happen. So even if you have a vehicle that can get to the space station and something would happen to that vehicle, we have another vehicle that'll help you get home. When we're going to the moon, we actually going to have the gateway, which is going to be orbiting the moon. So we're going to be having vehicles go to the gateway. Once they get to the gateway, they can actually safely live on the gateway if something happens to their rockets while another one comes up to get them. So we're constantly looking at how we can safely get astronauts there. So we're working with groups like SpaceX and Blue Origin to develop some of these redundant systems and more than one type of lander, more than one type of rocket. So regardless of what happens, we have a way to get back and forth safely.
Oh, that's a good idea, yeah. Now, we touched on temperatures before about how hot it does actually get. So another question that's coming is the moon colder or hotter than the Earth's temperature?
The moon is extremely hotter and extremely colder than the Earth because it doesn't really have an atmosphere. So it can go up to 120 degrees Celsius, which is extremely hot, but it can also go down to 238 degrees Celsius in what are called permanently shadowed regions. So there are places on the moon where there's craters, and at the bottom of those craters, it never sees the sun. So it could be 238 degrees. So one of the things we're doing in developing our technologies is developing rovers that are able to go down into those craters so that astronauts never would have to, and they would never have to be in those extreme conditions.
Okay, right. We're getting lots and lots of questions. Maybe we just got time for 2 more questions, do you reckon, Carol? I know you're really busy. Okay, right. So, will the Earth's gravitational pull be a problem with going back and forth to the moon? Does that change it?
No, the Earth's gravitational pull helps us go back into the moon, back and forth to the moon, because what it lets us do is slingshot around the moon as well as the Earth to go back and forth, and it helps propel the vehicles and bringing them back to Earth. So we actually use less fuel once you get into the gravitational pull of the Earth.
And we'll have this as our last question. There are still lots and lots of questions there, but we'll take this as our last one. How do the astronauts brush their teeth?
Well, so the astronauts actually use toothpaste just like we do, but they can't spit it out. They actually have to put it into a cloth or a tissue. So they aren't able to actually use water to brush their teeth. Now, I don't know about you, but for me, when I brush my teeth, I need water. So I don't actually know how they stand it, but it's one of the things that they're able to do is just spit it out and leave a little bit of that residue in their mouth until they're able to take a drink of water and swallow it.
Wow. Okay. So it must be a completely different way of living once they're up there. Oh. Well, thank you so much, Carol. It's been fantastic having you join us today. And I'm say there's lots more questions in there, but I know you're a very busy person, and we really appreciate you coming along. And I think it's kind of time we get back into the Minecraft and learn about how we're going to get these rockets off the ground.
Absolutely. Yeah. And thank you very much for having me. And you know what, Sarah, if you guys want to send me some of those questions, I would be more than happy to answer them. And if you want to send them back out to the schools and the students. But thank you all very much. And I hope you guys really enjoy this. We were very excited to partner with Minecraft on this. And I think it's going to be pretty amazing for you guys to work with.
Okay. Thank you, Carol. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Carol. Oh, I found that so interesting, and I'm sure the learners did too. That was great. So we've heard all about Artemis 1 to the uncrewed flight to test the safety of the vehicle and test the orbit path around the moon and back to Earth. So remember, this was the first of 3 missions. So we are now looking forward to Artemis 2 mission and Artemis 3 mission. And this is where we need your help. So you are the Artemis generation, and we're going to use Minecraft to help us. So are you ready, learners?
Okay, so the
first thing we need to do is open up the Artemis rocket build world. So teachers, please can you make sure your learners are following along and are able to open the world. So the main landing page, you need to click on play. And then secondly, here you'll see the view library from the dashboard. And then thirdly, you've got subject kits in the top left-hand corner of this dashboard. And then the number 4th step is from the menu that says science. You need to click on that one. And then number 5, click on the additional lessons from this dashboard. And hopefully you'll finally see the Artemis rocket build world, and your world will download for you.
Okay, so while that's downloading, you'll have the world open up, and the picture I'm showing you at the moment, that is going to be your spawn point. That's the place where you will begin the play. Now, this is the launch control room, and you as a player will be greeted by an instructor, or in other words, an NPC instructor there. Players, you're going to need to talk to the instructor. And if you've got a keyboard or mouse configuration, you'll need to move towards the NPC. And once you're within range, use the crosshair. That's that little kind of cross symbol. And that'll guide you up to your NPC, and right click, and the dialog box will then open.
If you're using a touch device, you need to move towards the NPC. And once you're within range, a talk button will appear above the hotbar, like you can see there. So you should tap the talk button to open up the dialog box.
Okay. So now we're going to be meeting lots of NPCs. in this world, and they're going to often provide lots of instructions for you and very important guidance as well. And it's crucial that you read and comprehend the information that they provide. Now, you can use the immersive reader. That's an integrated feature in Minecraft, and it's incredibly helpful. So if you need a little bit of extra help with reading, or just translating some of the language, you can also have it read aloud to you. Now, I'm going to hand over to Manon now, because she's going to be waiting in the launch control room, and she'll demonstrate that immersive reader for you, and hopefully you've all got your worlds opened up and we can start our journey.
Brilliant. Okay. Let me share. Okay, so hopefully you've all managed to find the world. Let's see, here it is. And bear in mind, it does take a while to load up. And mine happened to crash then as we were starting off.
Fiddle. Yeah, there's a lot of resources to download in this pack. So
it's such an exciting project, and I've loved learning so much about this project, about the first Artemis mission, and now that we actually get to take part in looking at the second and the third missions that will be happening. And it's been great to hear from Carol about all the amazing things that NASA are doing. It's really, yeah, I've learned so much already.
Yeah, it's been really, really interesting. Carol's just sent me another message as well that we can send some of these questions on to her, and hopefully we'll get those answers back out to you guys.
Brilliant.
There we are, we're in.
So here we are in the launch control area, and I'm just going to demonstrate how to use the immersive reader tool with an NPC. So you know how to find this. It's a very useful tool that we've got within Minecraft. Okay, so let's have a look. Wow, this looks amazing in here. Let's go towards this NPC here. I'm going to right click, and we'll see we've got some texts here. So if you notice this little logo down here, this means it can be read to you, and lots of other different tools. I'm going to test this out now. This might be really helpful for some of you following along. So this is how it looks, and we can press play here, and there's some other settings we can flick through here as well. So let's see.
Welcome to Launch Control. This is where we make sure our rockets take off safely. We're working on a really exciting project called the Artemis program, and we want you to be a part of it.
Brilliant. Up here, I can go back into the Minecraft world. So next, let's find out more. We've made some special classes just for you that will teach you everything you need to know about building rockets and the Artemis program. And we have a special mission for you then to practice your skills. Okay, next.
We're going to learn all about building rockets then, and a special mission as well.
Yes, yes. And our first mission is launching a satellite to help us communicate with the spacecraft when they fly to the moon. So we better head down the hallway to the classrooms to get started. There we go. So once you finish reading about this mission, we're going to look through the hallway. Okay.
There seem to be a lot of other people in that control room. I wonder what their jobs are.
Yeah, I'm sure they're really important people, but we need to get to our lessons now, but maybe the learners can investigate these people later. So let's go.
Good idea.
Okay, I'm going to walk through here. The door has opened for me. Okay.
This is our first classroom then.
Lesson 1.
Right, so it's time for you to interact with the NPC at the front of this classroom and see if you can find out more about the Artemis program.
So remember, you can use that immersive reader if you like, and we're going to play some music while you read through the information. And when you get to the point where the NPC tells you to go through the door to the next lesson, wait and we will regroup just to check our understanding. So we'll play some music now and let you have a read through. Okay, so it's time for us to do a quick regroup now and a knowledge check with you. So get your answers ready and let your teachers know. So teachers, please add your learners' answers to the Q&A panel in the call. So are we ready?
Right, okay then. So we're going to hopefully do a little bit of a quick kind of knowledge check and let's see if you learners are able to fill in some of the blanks that are to these questions. So the first one coming up is NASA will land the first blank and blank on the moon as part of the Artemis mission. Okay, if you could put your answers into the Q&A panel and then we can see if we'll get anybody getting that right there. So hopefully if you've done your reading. People a second to see what I'm going to put the next question up as well. So we've got time to put some more in there as well. So oops. Okay, NASA will use blank blank to explore the moon than ever before. Okay, we've got an answer to the first one. Okay, that's absolutely right. So NASA will land the first woman and person of colour on the moon as part of the Artemis mission. Brilliant, fantastic. Okay. A few coming in now with that one. All right, see if you can answer that second one. So NASA will use blank blank to explore more of the moon than ever before. I'll put up the next question as well, so give people time to look at that. NASA will work with blank blank to set up a permanent base on the moon. And I'll put our next to the last question up as well. So why are we going back to the moon? And NASA hopes time spent on the moon will help send astronauts where. Let's see if we've got some answers coming in now. Okay, yes, we have to this one. So NASA will use new technologies to explore more of the moon than ever before. We've got our first two. We need the next one. NASA will work with blank blank to set up a permanent base on the moon. That's right, it's come through. Other countries and companies, yes. So it's not just going to be about America, it's going to be other companies that are going to help out as well. So NASA will work with other countries and companies to set up a permanent base on the moon. And why are we going back? We've got one here, yeah. This Hall's class, we're going back to the moon to explore more of the moon than ever before. Yes, we're going over to the other side of the moon than we've done before. And our last one, discovery. Yes, to discover more. And that was the same answer. Right, last question is NASA hoped time spent on the moon will help send astronauts where, and that is it. It's Mars. That's our next stop of where we're going to go to.
Some brilliant answers. Well done. So let's see if you can do as well in the next lesson. So I'm going to head back into Minecraft to the next lesson. So walk through that door. Follow you in now.
Have you shared yet, Manon?
Let's see. Hopefully you can see my screen now.
Yes, it's there now, yes.
Lovely. Okay, right, let's walk through this door here. And you should be in lesson 2.
Okay, so in this classroom, we're going to learn about how a rocket works. So quite a science lesson for us now. This will be very, very useful for us because we're going to progress through this world and we're going to start building our own rockets. So read carefully.
So you'll hear about a famous scientist from a long time ago called Sir Isaac Newton. Make sure you pay attention to the laws he discovered. There are 3 mentioned, and you'll need this information to make sure your rocket can take off and fly.
Okay, so there's a lot to read and understand in this classroom. And remember, you can use that immersive reader if you need a little help with it. And again, we're going to play a little bit of music. And while you read through that information, and again, when you get to the point where the NPC tells you to go through the next door to the next lesson, just wait there because we're going to do a little bit quick knowledge check again. Now, there's quite a lot to read here, so we're going to play a little bit more music for you so you can read through it. Okay. Oh, our music stopped. Keep reading though, we'll get the music back. Okay, we're going to get the Minecraft back up again for you. I know you've got quite a lot of reading there to do. We'll be back in that classroom in a second. Okay, do you think it's time to do a quick regroup, Manon?
Yes, brilliant. So hopefully you've had a time to read through all that information, and we'll just do a knowledge check with you. So get your answers ready and let your teacher know. Teachers, please add your learners' answers to the Q&A panel in the call ready.
Okay, right, so apologies about our little lack of transmission there, but we're back on track. So we'll just do a quick recap first of all, and see how you got on with that second lesson. So, okay, do you want to start, Manon?
Okay, so let's see how you got on with the second lesson. So a little recap. So first, this is Sir Isaac Newton. Engineers use Newton's laws to understand how forces work and how these laws impact rockets' ability to fly. So Newton's first law of motion, an object at rest stays at rest, or an object in motion stays in motion until acted upon by an outside force. So basically, objects like to stay still or keep moving until something else makes them change. Newton's second law of motion, this law is an equation F equals ma, which mathematically explains how fast an object moves or changes, depends on how heavy it is and how hard it's pushed. So Newton's...
Sorry, go on, Manon, yes.
So Newton's third law of motion, every action has an equal...
And we've lost Manon again anyway. It's an equal and opposite reaction. So you could perhaps try this one out later after the session. So we read lots of new words in the classroom too. So we'll have a little recap on that important vocabulary as well now. So gravity is our first word. Now this is an invisible force that's always pulling objects towards the ground. So gravity is the force that keeps us from floating off into space. It literally keeps our feet on the ground. Weight, that is the force of gravity on an object. So, you know, if I actually moved to the moon, I would actually weigh less than I do here on Earth. But I really don't think that's kind of a reason for me to go and live on the moon. But another word that we heard or read about, I should say, is thrust. No, that's the force that makes a rocket move. The force is created by the rocket's engines, and that pushes the rocket in a certain direction. And it's a little bit like when you're blowing up a balloon. Okay, if you blow up a balloon and then let it go, yeah, it starts moving off. And that's the same kind of thrust that you get in a rocket, obviously a lot more forceful in there. Velocity is another word that might be quite new to some of you, and that's the speed of something in a given direction. So it's how fast you're traveling, and that's the speed, and velocity is the speed in that direction. This is probably quite a new word for a lot of you, and that is delta V. Now, that was our last word. It's the change in velocity, i.e. the speed in the given direction. So if it changes. Now, it all sounds a little bit complicated, but don't worry about it at all, because it's all going to come clearer as we start actually building our rocket, and it's all connected with the change in speed. So as we said, we're going to do a quick knowledge check now. So you need to get your answers ready. Okay, so quick fire round. You've got 4 questions there. So for each question, I want you to tell your teacher which is the correct answer. Is it A, B, C, or D? Teachers, I want you to add the question number and the letter given into the Q&A, please. So if you think it is 1C, put 1C, and next one 2, and whatever letter. So we'll give you a minute to do that, and then we will check our answers. A few answers for number 1 coming through, number 2 coming through now. Number 3. We get number 4. And we've got number 4 coming in now. Okay. Right, well, let's see how we've done. Okay, so 1A. So delta V is the measure of how much a rocket's speed changes. 2A, Newton's law of motion is a series of laws that describe how objects move. 3 is B. What is the goal of our rocket project? It is to fly to the moon. Okay, and 4 is C. Weight is the force that makes things fall to the ground. Excellent. So I think we got 1. Yep. Okay, we've got some people got it right. We've got a few right, and we've got a few wrong. So you just need to be careful with those. So just go look at it again. So delta V, it's the measure of the rocket speed changes. Newton's law, 3 laws to describe how an object moves. Goal is to fly to the moon. And what is weight? The force that makes things fall to the ground. Okay, and
okay, we should.
That's our next knowledge check. So we won't put that
Shall
right.
I
Okay.
share my Minecraft?
Yeah, we're ready to go
Let's
to
see
our
if
next
it's
lesson now. Yes.
playing ball with us now. Okay, so we are here in the lesson 2. Let's go through to our 3rd lesson.
Okay, and in this classroom, we're going to learn about the parts of a space launch system and how propulsion and fuels are important to get the rocket off the ground and into space.
And again, there's lots of interesting information to learn in this classroom, and we'll play some music while you read through the information. When you get to the point where the NPC tells you to go through to the next lesson, wait and we'll regroup to check our understanding once again. So good luck. Okay, it's time for us to do a quick regroup and knowledge check with you. So get your answers ready and let your teachers know. Teachers, please add your answers to the Q&A panel in the call. So are we ready?
Okay. All right, so in this classroom, we learnt that a rocket must carry the spaceship, the astronauts, fuel to launch the rocket, and enough fuel to return to Earth. So the rocket is very, very heavy, and propulsion and fuel are critical for our rocket to launch. There have been many shapes of rockets over the years. They've changed them different ways. Now, rocket fuel can be liquid and it can be solid. Our rocket will be powered by a liquid fuel. So can anyone give me the 4 letters that stand for the liquid fuel that we will be using? So there's 4 letters. We will get a correct answer into our published area. Second. There was a lot of reading to do there, I know. I'll give you a clue. The first letter is P. It's a capital P. We've got it. We've got PB. No, it's not DN, it's AN. PBAN.
Ah, well done. So that stands for hydrogen and polybutadiene acrylitrile. So there are 3 main parts to the rocket. And can anybody tell me what the names are of the 3 main parts to the rocket? So let your teachers know, and please add to the Q&A panel.
Again, if it's number 1 and what part that is, number 2, what part that is in the Q&A. We're going to need to know these parts of the rocket for our build that we're going to be doing. So hope we can give you a boost. That's a little bit of a clue there. Don't know if they, I'm just going to see if we can get any more published. Here we've got some coming in now, right? A little bit of it right. So we have got rocket boosters, core stage, and Orion spacecraft. Got a few coming in. Mr. Isaac's class is really on a roll with this. Okay, let's have a see. Have we got the right answers? Quite a few of you coming in now. There we go. So that first image is the boosters. The middle part is the core stage and the top is the Orion spacecraft. Brilliant. Okay, we've got some Very, very good answers there. So it's time to go into classroom 4. That's our final classroom before we start to build our rocket.
Okay, so hopefully you've managed to find the last classroom.
It's not showing at the moment, Manon.
Oh, no. Let's try again. There we go.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah,
Brilliant. Yeah, okay.
Lesson 4.
Yeah, and at the start of the lesson today, we talked about the Artemis missions, and in this classroom, we're going to learn a little bit more about those Artemis missions.
So again, we'll play some music while you read through the information. And when you get to the point where the NPC tells you to go through the door to the next lesson, wait and we'll regroup to check our understanding. Okay, so it's time for us to do a quick regroup and knowledge check with you. So get your answers ready and let your teachers know they could type in the Q&A panel. So let's see.
Okay, thank you, Manon. Right, so now we know there are multiple missions in Artemis. The Artemis 1, this mission was successfully completed in December 2022, not long ago, and the return of the unmanned Orion spacecraft. This launch proved the technology capable and paved the way for crewed missions. So the Artemis 2, currently scheduled for 2024, Artemis 2 will carry a 4-member crew of astronauts, farther than any humans have ever been in space before, and it's actually going to go to the far side of the moon. It's going to be an 8 to 10-day mission, and it'll include testing of Orion systems to ensure the crew can actually live in space, demonstrating operations needed for future missions. They'll be orbiting the moon and collecting data before returning to Earth. And then Artemis 3, this will be the first crewed moon landing, that's hard to say, since Apollo 17 in 1972. So the Artemis in Orion will dock the gateway and transfer the humans to the human landing system to visit the moon's south pole region. Now, this crew is going to remain in space for about a month before they return back to Earth. So, okay, we're now going to test your memory. So hopefully you've kind of had a read, giving you a quick recap on that as well. So we're going to test your memory, and we're going to show you 5 images that the NPCs in the classrooms shared with you, and see if you can remember what they are.
So this is some important vocabulary. So let your teachers know, and teachers please add them to the Q&A. So we'll give you a few minutes just to see if you remember the names of these important things. Have we had any answers in the Q&A, Sarah?
I'm just going to get, not yet. No, nothing there yet.
Okay, shall we
actually show everybody, because I know they're keen to get moving and
get
building.
going. Okay,
right,
so
okay.
number 1 there is the Orion spacecraft. This will carry astronauts from Earth to lunar orbit and back. We've then got the Space Launch System rocket. Number 3 is the Gateway, and number 4 is the Human Landing System, and the last one is the Artemis Base Camp. So well done if you got any of those.
Okay. Right, so now we've completed all those lessons. That's made up activity 1. We visited those different classrooms. Now we're going to go back into the world, and we've got 3 activities to complete, 2, 3 and 4. So we're going to build, test and redesign and paint a satellite to launch. Then we're going to, in activity 3, we've got a cargo rocket, and it will need to be able to build and carry extra weight. And then activity 4, we've got a spacecraft capable of carrying crew to space. So we've got a lot to do, so we need to get busy.
We do indeed. So once you've finished the lesson 4 there, press close and you'll see the door opening and you'll see the elevator. So go into the elevator.
This is going to take us to the vehicle assembly building area. All right, and we're going to have an opportunity to build and test out some of those rocket parts. And each rocket part has a different value, so you must stay within a budget in order to test your build.
So you can change the configuration of your satellite by pressing these arrow buttons here. Okay, you'll see it's been changed, and you'll see as you change something, you'll see your budget increase or decrease. So in this activity, we can only use 50 emeralds for our design. So if you try and test your build and it's over budget, you'll see simulation feedback and it'll not allow you to test your build. So if you build within the budget, you will see then a simulation, and you will see if your satellite is successful in its initial launch.
Okay, so I think we should give everybody a couple of minutes to try this out, and again we'll play some music while you build your first spacecraft. Okay, shall we have a go at configuring ours now, Manon?
Yes, let's have a look. So you can join us here if you still haven't managed to do it. It takes some figuring out. Let's have a look.
It
We'll
does.
start with the bottom here first. So I'm going to try looking at that budget. I think we need something less. Which one shall we go for? I think I'm going to go for that one. Let's have a fiddle around now with the middle. And keeping an eye on that budget. I'm going to try that one. And the spacecraft at the top, let's have a look. We're nearly there within budget.
Well.
Spot on, 50 out of 50. So we need to test this now. And I think we have success.
I think we do. Okay. So well done, everyone, and I hope you're now up there in the upper stage build hangar. In this space, we can redesign the upper stage however you want to, really. So if when you enter the build area, which is designated by those blue dots around, okay, the game is automatically going to change to creative mode. So if you just demonstrate that, please, Manon. So if you come out, you go back into survival. If you go within the build, you go into creative mode. So when you're in creative mode, that means that you're going to be able to have the inventory as well. So I'm sure you're aware of that, and also that you can fly, because you need that to be able to access up the top, and we've got an unlimited inventory there.
So I think it'd be a good idea just to run through a few helpful hints here, Sarah.
Yes, a very good idea.
So first, if you're using a keyboard and mouse to navigate around Minecraft, you need to double tap on the spacebar to fly. And if you hold down the spacebar, it allows you to fly up like I've done. If I hold the shift key to fly down, and I can also double tap the spacebar and I can drop back down to the ground that way as well. But if you're using a touch device, press the diamond-shaped button and use the arrows to move up and down. And also some hints now in regard to the inventory. So to open the inventory, press the E key. And once you find a material, you can select that material and drag and drop it into your hotbar like this. And you can use the keyword search to find specific materials, or even search by colour. If I type in red, I can find some different red blocks and I can place them into my hotbar. So you've got 9 available active slots in the hotbar, and you can use numbers 1 to 9 to select something in your hotbar. So if I'm pressing 1, I've got the first thing in my hotbar. If I press 2, I've got the red terracotta in my hand.
Great, so we can actually start redesigning this. We can change the blocks, change the colours of it. Okay, so and once you've finished with your design, you need to go back to the instructor NPC. He'll ask you if you're happy with the upper stage, and you should select it's done button. You'll then see your customized build and how it will appear in this cinematic outtake.
And once you've completed this, you'll be instructed to paint your rocket. So you'll automatically be given a spray can in your hand, and you can change the colour and the size of the spray based on the inventory items. So once you get to this, you'll see what I mean. But the slot 1 and 3 will allow you to change colour. 5 and 7 will allow you to change the scale of the spray. And slot 9 is the active spray can for you to use once you've changed the settings. So I'll guide you through this when we get to that part. And again, once you've finished painting, you'll return to the NPC instructor to let them know that you're finished, and your satellite will be launched into orbit.
So don't worry, we're going to work through this activity at the same time as you. We're going to play some music while we're doing it, and we're going to set it to a time. So don't worry if you haven't completely finished. You just need to actually, you know, say it's done, and so you can actually go through. So we'll play some music. work through it. We're going to give you probably about, I don't know, 8 minutes or so, Manon, do you think?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. All right.
So
So,
good luck.
yeah, good luck, everyone. And get creative. I think we should have some purple and orange on there as well somewhere, Manon. My 2 favourite colours. Smart. About flying up a bit higher before we put some more blocks in. You can see here, learners, we're not just changing some colours, we're actually adding blocks, making the shape a little bit different. Not sure if that's going to affect how our rocket flies, but we will find out. That's looking quite smart now. Should we go and do some painting?
I think we're ready to paint now. So I'm going to press it's done.
Building that rocket up for us. Oh, look, there's our colours coming up at the top. That's amazing.
Brilliant. Okay, we've got the instructor saying it's time to paint the rocket. And I'll hand you a spray can. You can change the colour and the scale of the spray can with your inventory items. And when you're done, come back to confirm your rocket and then we will start the launch. Okay, so you'll see at the bottom, we've got the instructions here. Okay, so it takes a while to get the hang of this. So number 1, if I click on the screen then to select it, it'll flick through the colours. So I'm looking at the slot number 2, shows what colour I've currently selected. So I'm going to go with, we'll go with pink there. And now if I press 5, that'll decrease the brush size, and 7 will increase the brush size. Once you're happy with those, we can select 9, which shows I've got the pink spray can in the size that I want. So now I can fly up and I can start painting my rocket.
Oh, wow. So because you've chosen a bigger nozzle, you can spray more at once?
Yes. So if I were to choose a smaller size, you'll notice that I can just do a block at a time.
Well, that will take a long time.
I think I'm going to go for a big brush size.
Yes, yes, good idea.
Because there's a lot of rocket to paint. Okay. So we'll let you get on with this part of the build as well, and we'll play some music.
So you get your perfectionist hand in there, Manon.
Yes.
Now, I know you learners might not have completely finished, but don't worry. You haven't finished painting. We do need to get launched because we've got another activity where we've got to assemble and paint and launch a cargo rocket. So can we get this one launched, Manon, and see what this looks like?
Yeah, so I've gone back to the instructor and I'm telling him that I'm finished. And this is the exciting bit. We get to see my actual rocket that I've redesigned, hopefully launching.
We're back into the launch control. All those people with all those jobs are getting ready.
The weather looks good.
It does. It looks like good conditions. Look at that paint job. Whoa.
Oh, could have done it a bit neater, I think.
Nearly ready. Go fire those engines, get that thrust going.
Wow.
Whoa, and we have liftoff.
Wow, there she goes.
Brilliant. Wow.
Cool.
Okay, so the cargo rocket will hold experiments and instruments, and these will help us better prepare for sending people to the moon and give us important information about that moon, just like Carol was talking about before. So they're going to find the right landing spots, etc. So to launch to the moon requires much more powerful rocket to escape the Earth's gravity. And this is similar to activity 2. We will need to select the rocket parts within your budget. And for this activity, we're going to have more emeralds. We've got 160 emeralds. And once you've settled on a configuration within the budget, you should select test and see if it works in the simulation. We're going to walk you through. And we'll have a look at the different selections that we can choose. So
we can go back to visit the lessons if we need to, or we can go straight into building a rocket here.
Yeah. We have some very good learners on the call, though. I'm sure they've remembered everything they've just done. So here we go again. So we'll have a look at the configuration.
So we'll give you a few minutes again, Sarah, to have a go at this.
Yeah, just have a quick go on this. So you've got a bigger budget, but obviously remember that it's going to need more fuel to be able to actually get all that cargo up there. So that's a little bit of a hint for you. Okay, shall we see how we can get on with our budget, Manon?
Yeah, let's have a look. So this one, again, we've got more budget, haven't we? But it's not about getting the right amount of money in total spent, but spending it on the right compartments required for the job. So let's start with the bottom. I think we're going to need a little bit more power here, aren't we?
Yeah.
I'm going to try that one. Okay, and the middle.
Core parts,
yeah, I'm having a look over here and keeping an eye on the budget as well.
Yeah. Obviously, we said it needs more fuel.
Yes, so we definitely need enough space for fuel. What about that one?
Yeah, that's
got
a good effect on both the budget and the fuel amount. Yeah.
Now 171. Okay, some of these are within budget. What are we thinking? That is over budget.
Maybe, well, let's have a look at the bottom part again.
Shall we try 159?
Try it.
Shall we
Test
try
it,
that?
yeah.
Let's press the test button. I'm sure you've got this before me, learners.
That's it, we've got it.
We have got it.
Right. There we go. Okay, so once you find a successful configuration, move back into the upper stage building hangar, and you've got to redesign the cargo rockets so you can use anything within the inventory. You've got the options to paint again.
We'll work through the activity at the same time as you. I'm sure your rockets will look much better than mine. And again, we'll play some music while we do this. We're going to set a time limit again because we do have another activity to do. So if you're ready, off you go.
Yeah, have to move quickly on this one. Okay. We know we're going to change into creative mode. We can open our inventory. I'd like some glass in this one, Manon.
Okay, let's get some glass.
Get on with some painting, shall we, Manon? The paint's going to work in just the same way, the same controls, aren't they, Manon?
Yes, yeah.
Exactly the same. What colour are we going for?
Green. Oh, it's not green.
It's pink.
Okay, let's try again. That's green. I want it bigger. Okay. There we go.
That's it. We can cover more now. Now, don't worry, learners, about getting this absolutely perfect. You can always go into this world again and have another go. We just need to see whether this will launch now.
Right, I'm telling the NPC that I'm done.
exciting bit again. Back in launch control, ready to send us off on our mission. Let's hope the weather's perfect for us again.
Let's hope.
We are good to go.
Weather's good. Always helps.
And I like our green stripe up there. Fire those rockets up again. Well, our glass looks very nice around the top there.
It does.
Brilliant. So, okay. So don't worry. You've done a great job, learners. We've got one more activity. You can go back in and get it as perfect as you want at a later point, but we need to assemble, design and paint and launch a crew rocket now. Okay.
So this is different than just launching cargo. And we need things like a life support system to make sure they have water, air, food and a way to take care of waste. And these things are heavy, so we need to make sure the rocket has more power and fuel. And we also need to launch the rocket at a specific angle, so in case of an emergency, the astronauts can safely abort. Lots of things to think about. So let's click on rocket. And we'll design a rocket outfitted for a crew. Okay.
This is to send the humans up there, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes. So similar to activity 2 and 3, you'll need to select rocket parts within your budget. And this time we have 190 emeralds. So once players have settled on a configuration within budget, you should select test to try out the simulation. And we'll walk through the first section in a couple of minutes. We'll give you a chance to try it out.
Got a much bigger budget this time, haven't we?
We have. Okay, I'm excited to get onto this task to see. And we'll start again at the bottom. So let's have a look. Which one am I going to attempt first? That one, I think. And the middle. I'm going to try that one. And then let's have a think about this top. Still looking at that budget. We have got more this time.
And just let everybody know, obviously that we are going to finish this off completely. It is being recorded, so if you want to come back and watch the recording again at a later point, and obviously learners can go back in and carry on with these activities as well. We have got another session tomorrow with another special guest star, a guest visitor from NASA, and we're going to be turning our hand at doing some coding as well. So hopefully you'll be able to join us tomorrow. And sorry for those that have to leave us now.
So let's test this configuration.
Yeah, you've been successful again. Yay.
Yes, good.
Okay, so again, we need to move back into that upper stage building hangar. Where you're going to do the same thing again, where you've got to choose anything in your inventory, and we can paint as well. And I think if we let you get going with it, we'll play a little bit of music and we'll walk through it ourselves at the same time.
Okay, I'm done.
Okay. Okay, are we done?
I think we are.
Ooh, bump.
So let's tell the NPC that I'm done. And again, don't worry if you haven't completed it. We're going to launch and see if we can launch the crew.
Good weather again.
Good.
You can hear the birds tweeting. Fire those rockets up. Oh, I love the colours.
And our mission is complete.
Wow, so our mission is complete, but do you remember when we first arrived, I asked about all those other people in the launch area, in the launch control?
Oh, yes.
Okay, well.
Oh, yes. Yes, we could go back and interact with each of those NPC characters, couldn't we?
We certainly could.
All you need to do is right-click the button and you'll be transported back to the launch control area.
Fantastic. So you might not have time now, but when you do get time, I really would encourage you to go back in and have a look and start to interact with each of those NPCs that are in there. You know, there's lots of individuals in there that are crucial to supporting the Artemis program.
There are hundreds of different kinds of jobs and ways of being involved in the Artemis program, and you'll discover some of these in the launch control area. You'll meet people like the launch director, who oversees the countdown and the liftoff, or the safety officer, an important job to ensure the safety of the crew capsule and keep astronauts safe as they travel, live and work in space.
Okay, so there's lots to still investigate, to go back in there, learn about those jobs, have another go at building and creating your own rockets and painting them as well. Now, teachers, if you're keen to actually carry on, oops, I'm skipping slides here, to carry on this amazing topic of Artemis, there's a range of follow-up lessons that are available from the Challenger Centre. And these will take your learners to a whole other level with their understanding of the Artemis program as well. Tomorrow we've got our second virtual classroom session continuing the Artemis theme, but this time it's Return to the Moon. We've got another guest speaker, as I said, from NASA, who I'm really excited about as well, and we'll hopefully know more about those careers. And we're going to have a big go at coding as well tomorrow. So this will be a journey to the moon. We're going to join Orion's crew and we're going to put our coding powers to the test, and we're going to work closely with mission control so we complete mini missions to solve different challenges in space and experience life as an astronaut and encounter the wonderful life of space flight. Now, to remember, teachers, if you can't fit it into your schedule, it will be recorded, so you can always use it at a later date.
Oh, that sounds amazing, Sarah. Can I come back tomorrow too?
Yes, please. I definitely want a hand with this. So thank you, Manon, very much for joining me today. And thank you, Carol, for joining us from NASA as well. That was great. And thank you, teachers and learners, for joining us as well. And remember,
you are
the Artemis
generation.
See you all. Bye-bye.
Bye.